Every relationship you're bound to have an argument. How you communicate with each other is very important. Having those healthy arguments is also crucial. When you start having that toxic, unhealthy, constant argument, then you need to do something about it before it's too late. So today's video, we're going to talk about how to have those healthy arguments. One of the things that you need to do when you're seeing that you're having an argument, you need to be open and honest with one another. At times you may feel like being honest and open to that person may disappoint them. Yes, it will. But if you don't talk about it, how will they know? That is why you have to be open and honest with one another so that it builds up a healthy communication. And the next point that you need to work on is you need to listen to each other. There's some people that will not give you a chance when they're having an argument. They just want to be the ones doing the talking and you doing the listening. And they feel fulfilled with regards to that. But it's not about competition here. You need to give that other person a chance to state their point while you do the listening. And let them speak. Argue the point concerning the matter in hand. Don't bring in past issues. Discuss that issue that needs to be dealt right now. If you are going to bring in those past issues, you'll end up fighting. Because when it comes to listening, it's a skill. And many of us don't have that skill. Sometimes you may think you're listening and your mind is totally somewhere else. By the time they're done, you'll pick up a few things from that conversation and listen to what you want to hear. You become defensive. This is a way of how you process things. Maybe it comes from your background and you're not aware of it. Because being defensive may be influenced by various factors, which includes your past experiences, your background, or maybe trauma. For an example, if someone has experienced trauma, neglect, or abuse, that person may develop some coping mechanisms, such as defensive behavior, to try to defend themselves from further harm. And they may use that without realizing that they're doing that. Or maybe you're just one of those people that wants their opinions to be heard, and you don't give a chance to the other person for their emotions to be known. If you try to voice out your opinion before you are ready to listen, then you won't be able to hear what the other person is saying to you. I know this may be stressful and frustrating, but you have to wait. Because if you are going to communicate at the heat of the problem, then this person won't be able to listen to you. And maybe they will just decide to switch off and they start talking. This will become more frustrating. So that is why you need to try out this next point, is speaking kindly to one another. I know sometimes when you are angry, there's no kindness here. One is shouting, the other one is shouting. The one is going louder and the other one gets louder. So basically, you don't even get to listen to one another. So when you are arguing, just try and do everything to put yourself in a peaceful environment. I know a lot of people lack the skill. It's about teaching yourself that it's just a minor argument. But when you see that your partner is becoming abusive by using those different tactics to lower your self-esteem, such as name-calling, yelling, or even gaslighting, just to mention a few, this person is trying to prioritize his needs rather than your needs. Because maybe this is what he knows. He uses that punitive approach and he carries this thing to all his relationships. Because when it comes to abuse, it starts when you start tolerating those unkind words that are said to you and you don't talk about it. It's never your fault, but you can't live with that. You can't let someone emotionally abuse you. If it becomes physical, you need to get out and find a safe space to be before it's too late. Whatever starts like a simple argument can end up deadly. So this is when you need to find a safe space. And the next point is you need to value each other's feelings and needs. Because a healthy relationship validates feelings, affirms love, and listening to each other. If you don't listen to each other, then which means you're not in a healthy relationship. If you value each other's needs as a couple, your partner will value your opinion, because a healthy argument is about seeing things from the other person's perspective rather than assuming. Because once you start assuming, it means that you don't trust this person. And suddenly there's this emotional distance between you. When you see that this argument is going to a point whereby it's going to turn up abusive, then give each other that space, which is the next point. Because Once you start giving each other space, it saves you from saying things that may hurt that other person. Because once you say something, you can't take it back. You can say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. But that person might not just forgive easily. Everyone requires a different amount of time to cool off once in a while in order for them to process their feelings. Give them that time. And at times, the time of space depends on how hurt your partner is. If you are the main cause of the fight and he wants a space, give him that. Let him have that space to think on his own, because men naturally like that. But if you come chasing him after that big fight, or maybe you begin to text him, you're pushing him away because of that pressure that you are giving him. For you to say, I'm sorry, it's enough. If he wants to come back, he will come back and love you. You just need to be patient. In general, I'll give that person a week for them to cool off and just wait, for them to reach out if he wants to. If it goes beyond a week, I'll assume the relationship is not going anywhere. And if it goes beyond a month, I'll assume it's over. At the end of the day, God says in Ephesians 4:27, do not let the sun go down and be angry. Because at that point in time, you are allowing the devil to take over this relationship. You have that opportunity to break you guys apart. Because we are human, we get angry. And we leave it for a week. And then comes 2 weeks, then a month. Then what? That is why at times, by giving one another that space, it gives you a chance to think if you want to be in this relationship or you don't. So you need to compromise with one another, which comes to the next point. When you are compromising with one another, it's a way of having a healthy relationship, because there's no relationship that has no compromise. We compromise with one another when we're happy. So when you are having an argument, you need to compromise with one another as well. So if you want a long-term relationship, you need to strike that balance. You don't have to treat it like a battle in order to win at any cost. Because if you're going to have that competitive approach, it will really lead you to anything but hurt the other person's feelings. If you're the one that feels hurt, talk about it and tell your partner so that this whole thing doesn't repeat itself. This is a way of being open with your communication. Don't just keep quiet, because a lot of these practical arguments are about patterns that become formed when you cross boundaries in a relationship. So when you realize that you've crossed those boundaries, admit it and apologize and move on. You can close that argument just by saying to that person, we are allowed to have different views and opinions. We don't need to argue about it, but I understand your point. In this phrase, you'll cool things down and it will de-escalate any argument. Otherwise, it will never stop. So thank you for watching and see you in the next video. God bless you.